Good morning, everybody. Here we are, the weekend, and here we are with the breakdown. I mean, we saw it yesterday, didn't we? We kind of assumed that we'd have follow through. These rising channels are. They always break down, to be fair. It's not 100%, but I mean, they break down almost every time. And this one did break down. So there you go. So we've got all three measured moves pretty much on target here. So you got one, which is a minuscule. You got two straight through, and number three to hopefully print the double bottom. And the good thing about this big move, though, I have to say, if anything, if there is a good thing about it, is that the way that the RSI and the money flow index is positioned at the moment, just given the speed and the size of this, is that you're likely to start to see some bullish divergence getting printed on the daily there. The weekly, we're not really in a position to see that on RSI, but we are on money flow index as well. So there's a silver lining to every cloud. But being below the 50 exponential on the weekly, never a good look. So it doesn't really matter which way you cut it. It's still pretty bearish, to be honest with you. but splitting hairs. Whereas Bitcoin's still standing up. As far as the position on the weekly is concerned, yeah, we're below most moving averages. Getting rejection on the 10 and the 21, obviously way below the 20, but above the 50, simple and exponential. So that's reassuring, I have to say, slightly. The print on the bull div, it may or may not happen, to be honest with you, because we all know that Bitcoin can nuke pretty quickly if it has to. So the weekly, it's a better position than S&P, but when it comes to any kind of divergence, is I wouldn't say that there's the same kind of strength there. Looking over here on the daily, we're losing the 20 moving average at the moment. So yesterday we saw the rejection from this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then bang down into the 20. We're seeing a little bit of continuation at the moment as far as that's concerned. Nothing special going on the RSI over here. Nothing special going on the money flow index, and nor is there really on the 4-hourly either. So it does look like it does want to continue to sort of bleed out a little bit more. To be honest with you, that is the nature of what it is that we're looking at here. It does look as though it wants to bleed out more. Right, let's have a look at the higher term time frames. Well, I mean, looking at this monthly, and again, we're thinking about, realistically what it is that we're seeing here. What we are seeing is a spinning top, which it's currently red. If it were to close green, it would still be indecisive, but slightly better. We are above all moving averages, though, which is pretty sweet. And we're obviously above this previous top, which is a higher high still. So that's coming in at 70,000, basically, 71, 72, give or take. We don't have anything special going on with momentum, because this is still a significant uptrend. So, splitting hairs, it's still a bullish structure, to be honest with you. The problem is always going to be what stocks are doing. And this is the problem that we've had for a little while now. And the breakdown yesterday morning, as we saw early on, is that we had teetered below this area, and the continuation down was most likely, and it brought everything down. And this is what I've been saying on the Patreon for a little while now. Stocks trump, if you can pardon the pun, they trump Bitcoin, and obviously any altcoin that we see, whether or not it has a good setup or not, it won't be allowed to. It won't be allowed to complete, and it won't be allowed to move up. It's just not going to be allowed to do it, because those. I try to always think about things in terms of analogies, right? So we've got a beach, right? With sand all over. Each sand is a little tiny ticker for an altcoin, And as soon as the ocean starts to wash across the beach, there's nothing a little grain of sand can do. It's not going to stand up to the ocean, and the ocean is obviously the largest pool of liquidity, the highest volume, which is basically your major indices and stocks. And S&P down 2.5% in a day. 2.5% in a day. That's a big deal. Dow Jones 1.5% more, Nasdaq 2.5%. So with these sort of moves, it's going to be very unlikely to see anything special. Thinking about though the US 500 at this point now, we have seen a little bit of bull div on the 4 hourly. That does exist. You are seeing it on the RSI as well, which again is slightly reassuring, but it's pretty turbulent out there, isn't it? Really, let's face it. I mean, the whole place. It doesn't matter what you look at. It's all pretty much wreck city at the moment. I think this is just a thought, but all this tariff business, I think there's going to be a point where some stability is definitely required. Otherwise, it's going to cause significant pullbacks and consolidations and bear markets and crashes. Really, whether that's the intention, I'm not sure. There's likely to there's going to need to be some kind of rollover really to stabilize the market. You know, all of this is just too much. It's just too much. But as far as the, calling it, where, at what point and where is it that it's going to be considered too much? Well, I mean, as far as the charts are concerned, there is still plenty of time for this to completely recover on its own. When we're talking about a monthly, you got the 20 moving average, the 21. They're all sitting 5,300. And that's a natural place for it to bounce and turn around from. Absolutely fine for that to happen. And if it were to come down even further, that would also be okay as well, naturally. But if you were to lose, obviously, this area, you have to target this area. If you lose this area, you kind of have to target this area. And that's, I suppose, if anything, where you would have to say, right, I concede, I'm talking about government. I concede. Let's bring some stability to the markets. We can't expect the Fed to do it, so we'll have to do it. Sorry about all these tariffs and blah blah blah. But at the moment, structurally, they're okay on the high term time frames. Whether that's at weekly's not so good, but the monthly is still okay. And you're looking for a big turnaround. If you've got your finger on the trigger of adding to a pension or a long-term stock position, these are the areas 1 and 2 where you'd really want to think about doing it. I mean, let's have a little think about some of the big players at the moment. Again, we're doing a live stream tomorrow night, so we'll be able to look at all these directly. So look at this. So this is your Tesla stock all the way down on the monthly already, down towards the 50 exponential moving average. That is one hell of a big move now. I'm talking 55%. It's not just your Bitcoin or your Ethereums or whatever that's moving these big moves down. It's the biggest stuff in the world. If you lost that 50 exponential on Tesla, you could be looking for a serious pullback. 176, 118, maybe even below 100. And they're mates, aren't they? Trump and thingy. Trump and Elon, they're best buds now. What the heck are you doing? Anyway, let's allow for the charts to continue in their particular direction, which unfortunately is down. There's no two ways about it. It is down. The dominance chart moving into the 63% dominance area, and again, I'm not saying that this chart has as much relevance as it used to, but this area, this 62%, between 62 and 64, we'll call it 63 then, shall we, roughly, is a decent area of resistance. And what we do see on the RSI, actually not on the RSI, on the money flow index, is 1, 2, and a third drive of bearish divergence. On a monthly, I'm not saying that this is going to happen at all, but I'm going to draw it in all the same. Bang. That could happen, right? You heard it from me first, and I'm happy to be wrong. And there's a very good chance I will be. But if you're going to get a rejection, it would be on the case of some bear div like that on a monthly, and it would be in an area like this where you've had bang, 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 and then down. So there is a good chance of an alt season still, believe it or not. And that is an unpopular word, because it's a word that has been used too many times by everybody, including myself. But all we have is the charts. That's all we have. And the charts do say that's a possibility. So if it's a possibility, we have to think about it. So let's think about it. But is it going to happen today? No, I don't know about that. I don't think so. I don't really think that's the most likely outcome. And let's have a look at the total, and then we will leave it for there. And if you want to join the streams, there's links for the Patreon in the description below. Monthly above the 20, above the 10, which is still pretty good. Okay, so we've got the weekly above the 50, which is very similar to Bitcoin. No bull div on this one at all, but what we do have is a trend line that we can hold on to. Similar to a few things, actually. Actually, it was similar to XRP, which unfortunately has not. It has not responded to that. But that doesn't mean that it can't, it just means that it hasn't responded. Rejection at resistance, the 250 area. Hopefully we do turn around on this one. So look, resistance, rejection, lack of bull div, generally speaking, a bit early to expect a turnaround at this point. But there is evidence for a turnaround still this year. Is it going to happen today? It doesn't look like it, to be honest with you. It does not look like it. On the very short-term time frames, just if you think about it, we've been talking about how between 80,000 and 90,000 is the range. We've lost this area. Probably look for increments on the way down, just like the S&P. First increment being more or less where we are right now, these lows. Second increment being these lows. We're talking 81,600. Fourth area down here, basically 80,000, and maybe you do see a retest of the previous lows. I don't want to see the wick lows, it's the candle body lows. We're talking 78,500, 600, 700. Start closing below there, and thou has a problem. And we would be looking for lower, probably quite a bit lower, into the 60s. Right, that is it. Each one of these offers an opportunity to perhaps maybe get a mega long, but make sure that your stop losses are tight, because if you lose them, you are going down to the next one, and so on and so on. No bull div though, like I said, on this 4 hourly, so it doesn't look like it wants to happen at this resistance, at this support. If anything, it's going to take place from the next one. But we'll have to just wait and see. I'm not in a position to go taking longs. Never in a position to do that over the weekend. But it's still not a big breakdown, not yet. But the threat is becoming closer, and we have to think about that seriously and what that means. But not the end of the world, is it? Let's face it. I mean, Bitcoin is at basically $84,000. I mean, that is pretty sweet considering where it came from. Again, always reflect on where you are compared to where it is that you were. XRP still at $2.13. People thought it was designed to stay at 50 cents, didn't they? Every time I made a video about it, don't you realise? It's 50 cents. Designed to stay there indefinitely. You moron. Right. Well, what's it designed to do now? Stay at $2? Yes, you moron. But that's like several 100% different to where you say, yes, I know. I just say what I see at the moment I see it, and read what I say or what I see from the people who have big following accounts. Okay, all right. I'll leave it with you there then. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Be careful. Take it easy.